I'll finish that off in breaks. We on right now? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thursday Night Lights, brought to you by the Patio, Grubs, and Suds in downtown Wellston. We are live here at that location. Fellas, we are at the halfway point. It is week 5.
Week 5, halfway through the season. It's hard to believe it's gone that fast.
It's flying.
Unbelievable.
So,
what a week last week for the Rockets, though.
Yeah.
Big win.
So as always, we'll do a little bit of a league recap. We got 2 weeks to cover. Did want to say a special shout out to the family of Bub Norris and Mike Gray, our producer. Lost Bub's mother this past week. Emma Jean Norris, 81 years old, passed away. So our thoughts and prayers are still with them. So if you were trying to catch the show last week, we had to cancel for that reason. But we are back, so we're going to try to cover 2 weeks at the same time. I'm Matt Petersen. To my left, Jordan Lackey. To my right, Nathan Molihan. So we'll bounce back all the way to week 4. So we had Vinton County 54-0 over Meigs and Nelsonville 54-0 over River Valley. So a couple big blowouts there. Meigs did lose some key players to injury, I guess. Had some cramp issues. So there were a few guys down in that game. But Vinton County does what Vinton County does, guys. That defense is just stout.
Yeah, Greg Phillips has really stepped the defensive game up there in Benton County, and that raised the standard. Now their offense is starting to click a little bit, so I think they're going to come into the end of the season strong.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good so
Yeah.
far, fellas.
I mean, as far as them in Nelsonville,
Coming up, we got Nelsonville coming up next week.
Right.
And Benton County, obviously, later on. It's going to be a couple 2 really tough games for us, and I think we're ready for the challenge.
Of course, going back 2 weeks, Portsmouth West coming here. Portsmouth West is a really good team, coming in hot. Of course, we had a gauntlet of a schedule coming into Portsmouth West, and of course, Matt and I did the game on the radio, and watching that game in the press box, you were there. I mean, we felt like we had the better team at halftime. I mean, we really did.
Yeah, I mean, from the opening kickoff, I mean, it seemed like we had momentum and we had
Yeah.
opportunities, and we did, and we ended up punching it in there. I think in the third quarter, or I can't remember.
No, we
It's
actually
been
went
too
into
many weeks,
halftime.
but
What was like 21-10. We actually
21-10.
had momentum going in, and then
28-10.
28-10. So, I mean, there was a couple big mistakes, some penalties, and some key situations that pushed us out of the scoring positions. But we looked good. I mean, a lot of things to build off from because that was a really good team.
Defensively, we played pretty good, other than
Yeah.
a couple big plays that they broke on us. And that's to be expected. I mean, when you got a talented team like Portsmouth West, and they have a really talented running back, and that kid's pretty solid.
Yeah, he was fast. Once he got open, he was gone.
To speak a little bit more, kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but to talk about the complexion of that game. It was a minute 26 left in the first half, and we're 21-10. And things just kind of went sideways after that. With a minute 26, kind of gave Portsmouth West a little bit of a short field on, I guess, an onside hybrid squid kick or whatever. And they did a great job of clock management. So going into the half, clocked a couple of balls, had a timeout, and of course, typical. It seems like bad luck goes against us. There was a blatant missed holding call on Hunter Collins. He was tackled on a screen pass to Jeffrey Bishop.
Right in front of the white hat.
Right. If that guy makes that call, that sets up 3rd and 20.
Right.
And a loss of 10 yards, it pretty much kills that drive. So they take their last time out right after that missed penalty call, come back and hit Jeffrey Bishop for a touchdown pass. So that makes it 28-10. And then coming out of the half, same thing, we give them a short field and can't stop the run. They managed to eat up a bunch of clock on a couple of quarterback scrambles by Petersen, and then that Mason Parker just cashes in on a 26-yard run. So within probably 3 minutes or less of total game time, there's some key things that happened there that we went from being a competitor to all of a sudden this thing's going to get out of hand. And that's kind of what happened. It's so frustrating because I'm sure people are looking at the scoreboard thinking, it's just another. It wasn't a blowout. I mean, it was not. Our defense, especially those last 2 weeks against Portsmouth West and Minford before that, I think the defensive strides were.
I went in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, so people will see that. You saw that against Alexander. We're talking about week 4 right now, but let's jump ahead and go to the Wellston Alexander game. Defense was lights out, man.
Well, I think a lot of that contributes to looking at film from last week. That we missed some tackles. I mean, and we missed probably a few assignments defensively, and that's okay. But you know what? We came back with a shutout.
Yeah, it's a
So I
shutout.
missed the game, but it sounds like we've come out to play pretty well last Friday night.
It was a good game because the defense played well. They kept the offense, and of course, the offense was in good field position all night long. I think we were almost, I think our worst starting position was probably our 45-yard line for the most of the first half. So the defense did a good job keeping some good scoring position. There were just some big key mistakes that we made in positions, get inside the 5-yard line, have a holding or offside, whatever that may be. Just things that are fixable, which is exciting because that's what you want going into game number 6.
It's a nice challenge having a Portsmouth West, right before you get into league play, and you can kind of measure up to what you want to be maybe by playing these guys and make some adjustments for TBC play, and I think we did. We had a lot of different guys carrying the football. Johnny had a pretty good game, I think, as a quarterback, and defensively, I mean, what can you say? They shut him out. So,
and we can see the coaching growth as the season goes along because the offense is getting a little more complicated, a little more.
Yeah.
So before the snap happens, we're having a little more action, a little more pre-snap movement. Yeah. We're not just lining up and basically telling the defense where we're running. We're giving different looks to look at. And I think it's showing on this, on the field that we're being successful. Yeah. And so going into River Valley, it's going to be an opportunity to come out and just keep building on that. Yeah. And then what we do, Nelsonville the week after that. So we're in a really good position to finish strong.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think early on it was kind of, and this speaks to the work that Coach Graham and Coach Briggs have done, especially offensively. We weren't sure what kind of identity we were going to see out of this offense, and it kind of took a little bit of time to develop. And if you watch past episodes of this show, he's talked about that, how every week they're going to try to open some more things up. The last 2 games, guys, we're about 65% run, 35% pass. So, we've got a lot of good things going on. Johnny Scott's been 50% passing for 3 straight games now. So that's pretty good for a guy that, in my opinion, I'm sure everybody else would agree, is still kind of maturing as a quarterback. He's only been a starter for 1 year, so this is only his second year as a full-time starter. So he's playing pretty well. But, the Alexander game, the defense, I mean, I can't say enough about it. Isaac McWilliams has an interception in the first quarter. Bennett Yadernacek, who we'll hear from him in a little bit in our second segment, he had 2 interceptions. Mike Weber played great at corners, and I think that's the first time we've seen a lot of Mike out there at that position, man. But he shut down a couple of long balls that Jordan Schultz had guys open, and Mike did a great job. Braden Myers is here, so we'll hear from him a little bit later. He had a coming out party, guys. I mean, that guy played completely out of his mind. He was awarded our hit of the game, had 3 sacks in that game. So, I mean, he went off.
I can remember looking at that guy and saying, where's this guy been?
Right.
That's a big performance right there, of course.
And, of course, overall.
Mr. Weber, I mean, this kid's a competitor. I mean, I'd have confidence putting him anywhere on the field.
Well, I tell you what, the maturity
the coach is kind of
and the growth that Mike's taken, when you seen him out there at a cornerback last year or this, even like a couple games this year, he was unsure of himself. He played with confidence last Friday, and he was step for step. It was like 3rd and probably 15 or whatever. Of course, that quarterback can throw the ball a mile up there for Alexander. Mike was step for step for him all the way down the field. I mean, made a great play, knocked the ball down twice.
Takes a lot of discipline.
2 big plays,
One time inside the 5-yard line, I think he did that, and that's a big time. Man. That's him stepping up, and it's good to see him. Who, like I said,
and we're going to need that in the weeks to come.
The confidence coming out.
And, of course, overall, the defense holds Alexander to -4 yards rushing and only 128 yards passing. So, and one of my notes I've got down here, had it not been for penalties, which continue to plague Wellston in key situations, they're drive killers. I mean, we always have them inside the red zone, inside Alexander territory. Had it not been for that, this game would have been completely out of reach early. I mean, we controlled the game at the line of scrimmage. Everything was going our way.
We were probably 4 touchdowns better than that team.
Easily. And that's not a knock. I mean, we're not knocking against Alexander. I mean, they've got a lot of talented kids. But that Isaac Waller, their running back, is a beast. I mean, he's a big kid. But we just had a great scheme. Bennett on the outside played a fantastic game. Of course, we mentioned his 2 picks, but he corralled that outside edge all night. Couldn't break the edge running. I think Schultz had a couple of scrambles.
Yeah.
But that stuff happens. I mean, that's
and the other part of it too is the pass-heavy team. There's a lot of sacks, a lot of lost yards. That counts. That takes away from your rushing yards.
So let's rewind 2 weeks ago. The Portsmouth West. We're up there in the box. I'm like, I want to see Bennett catch a ball. And then next thing you know, he catches a ball, and that's just another avenue, another weapon that we can use to help spread our offense out, because we have a lot of tools. Our biggest thing is depth, but one-on-one we can match up with a lot of teams. It's the depth, the second half, like against Portsmouth West, where we've been struggling, and the penalties. So I'm interested to see what we do coming to River Valley.
Yeah, of course you're starting to see a lot more of Bennett. He lines primarily up at tight end, but being able to flex him out because he's a former wide receiver. So now you've got two guys. If they line him up and Kale Fott up at the whiteout positions on both sides, flankers, that's two guys that are 6 foot plus. Clocking in about 185, 190 pounds. That's not an easy.
No,
that's
not
not
at
an
all.
easy defense at all. So, and it's starting to show. I mean, like you said, Bennett had a couple of key catches. One to set up that field goal by Mike Weber against Portsmouth West.
And then the pick at Mike that Bennett had at Nelsonville against Alexander. Of course, we played at Nelsonville playing against Alexander, but him laying out, I mean, and just pulling that in. I couldn't believe he caught that ball. I'd love to see a replay. I don't know if they have Coach House film. It'd be nice to even play that highlight next week. That was one of the best interceptions I think I've seen over there.
Yeah, and another guy that I want to mention that doesn't. I think he's only been in the end zone maybe once this year. But is such a key piece to this offense, and he does such a good job of setting things up as Seth Lambert.
Definitely.
I mean, this kid, I don't think I've ever wanted to root for a kid to get in the end zone and break 100 yards rushing as much as I have this guy. And I mean, he was rolling against Alexander.
A hard runner.
13 carries for 70 yards at the half, and came out one carry into the second half, wound up with a hip issue. So they held him out, and wisely so.
Right.
I mean, you want to stay healthy.
Exactly.
Speaking of health, Josh Clarkson had his follow-up appointment on Tuesday. He will be out this week, but will come back next week.
Good.
So we'll have him back. He's got a half cast on, so he's got the two fingers. But I think talking to him earlier this week, and of course we'll talk to Coach Graham a little bit about it later. I think they're going to work him in at safety some, so he won't
keep him
have
from having as much
right.
contact.
And you probably won't see him on offense much at all. If at all. So
well, that's like you talk about Seth Lambert. Back to him, it's awesome to watch his maturity and his patience, because we have some pretty good sized linemen, and to watch him, of course, what's he probably 5'7", 5'8"?
5'8", I think is his official.
And so he's able to hide behind those linemen, and it would be easy just to get stuck up in those holes and get of course nothing out of it. But he's very patient and waiting for his blocks to develop. Then he finds a crease and makes a nice plays.
Yeah, and just to put it in perspective, he averaged 4.45 yards a carry against Portsmouth West, and averages 5.38 against Alexander. So this is a 4 or 5 yard.
Really good defense to do that against. So hats off to them and the line.
Get that kind of yardage. I mean, that's
and the line's doing a good job.
Offense right there.
The line is, of course, I think I've said during the game that I think Gage Goheen is probably one of our key players overall because of his, much as they relied on him on the offensive side of the ball. Now, last week we seen him kind of go away from him a little bit, but the whole first half, that's everywhere we ran the ball was behind Gage Goheen. Yeah. And I think everybody knew it, but he did a good job carrying everybody out. And then also he plays really hard on the defensive line side. So he's been a really key point. And of course, Hunter Brown is someone you don't hear a lot about too. And that boy is a specimen. You see him without pads, and it's like, wow. So we have some really good-looking athletes, good athletes, and we're really set up to finish strong this year. I mean, I really think this week we're definitely no-brainer. I think we're going to give Coach Keep a loss. And then Nelsonville, I think we can take him down to the wire. But it's going to be how can we correct the big mistakes.
I think as an offensive line and a defensive line as a unit, I think they're really coming together well. And last week and this week combined is a good building block to whip Nelsonville signed in, I think.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we put those pieces together these 2 weeks, and we really got a nice product out on the field on that Friday night. So.
And then the touchdown Kel scored on the first touchdown of the game was a whip
Against
route.
Alexander?
Yeah, against Alexander. That whip route was phenomenal. It was spot on. I mean, the guy who left him sitting the DB, and then Johnny delivered the ball before he broke, and it was right on the money. I mean, it was a perfect ball. So everything's starting to click at the right time. And there's been a couple of plays that we've talked about where Johnny has really matured and not taken off when in the past he has. And he's waiting on those plays, those receivers to get open, and he's making some nice throws. So I'm excited.
So before we go to break, we'll do some more work. We got to get through the rest of this league recap when we come back. Before we go to break, I'll just do the Wellston stat leaders for these last 2 games. Against Portsmouth West, Johnny Scott went 10 for 20, 113 yards and a touchdown. Seth Lambert, 11 carries, 49 yards. Cale Fott, 6 catches, 61 yards and a touchdown. And then against Alexander, Johnny goes 7 for 14, 59 yards, 2 TDs. He did have a pick late, but he made up for it with a rushing touchdown. Seth Lambert, 13 carries, 70 yards at the half. I want to point that out because he's on pace to go for 140 if he stays in. Mason Collins, 7 carries, 59 yards and a touchdown. Cale Fott, of course, leads in receiving, 4 catches, 27 yards, 2 touchdowns. And again, defensive leaders, Isaac McWilliams with a pick, Bennett Goddard in a check with 2 picks, and Braden Myers with 3 sacks.
Yeah.
So on that note, We'll take our first break of the evening, get back here for the second segment. I'm Matt Petersen with Jordan Lackey, Nathan Molihan. We'll see you here in just a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live here at the Patio Grubs and Suds in Wellston, Ohio for Thursday Night Lights, brought to you by the Patio. Always want to send a shout out to Keith and Wendy Henry for sponsoring the program.
Yes.
Do a great job with the place. Got a pretty decent crowd out here tonight. The weather's still gorgeous, guys. It's
beautiful.
So we say it every week. We're live here Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. We're roughly close to 7, depending how things go. But you're welcome to come up and hang out with us, talk a little bit of Wellston football and some things going on in the TVC Ohio. So I'm Matt Petersen, with me Nathan Molihan to my right, Jordan Lackey to my left. And we've got some special guys from Wellston's Pee Wee program. Coach Chad Wonders is over here, and he brought with him Kason Cardwell, who I guess is the leading scorer for Wellston, the running back. Got Cooper Williams at quarterback and Walker Williams, the fullback and linebacker. Guys, thanks for coming up.
So who's Kason? Raise your hand, Kason. There he is. That way people know who you are. All right, Cooper, right here. And then we have Walker, right here. All right, so guys, thanks for coming out. Did we get you out practice a little early? I know I gave Coach Wonders the wrong time earlier. I gave him 6:15 instead of 7:15, so maybe I saved you in some drills. So you guys had some big games the last couple of weeks. You guys been having fun? You guys know a lot about football now that you've been there a couple weeks now. So we got a highlight here that Jade Wonders sent us. The first highlight, Shad Wonders, with Shadrach Wonders. Can you walk us through it? What play was it? Do you remember what play it was?
Oh yeah, so I get the ball and then I fake it off to Clayton and then I'll keep it, but then
So fake reverse and you go around the end and then you scored. How'd that feel to get in the end zone? Does it feel awesome?
Beats us every week.
He said.
It's no big deal.
Ain't a big deal for him then.
So say act like you've been there, right?
Well, you can't get there without your linemen, can you? Without the guys up front. That's right. So these guys helping you out here. So we want to thank you guys for coming up. You guys are the future of our program, of course, and there's nothing better than B-League football. So who's been your toughest game so far? Who do you think? Who? Who?
We play Beverly next.
You play Beverly next. Is that Sunday or Saturday, Shad?
Sunday at Beverly.
So Sunday at Beverly. And when's your next home game?
Our last 2 games are home games, so we have Beverly, and I think we have 1 more away game, and then we're home for 2.
Okay, so 2 away games and then 2 home games to finish out the season. And then is there a playoff, Coach?
Yeah, I think everybody makes the playoffs. It's just tournament style.
Okay.
I think that's how it's going to work. So we win, we get to stay in. They're getting better each week. That Miller team just beat us. They beat us by 4, I think. And they were our first scrimmage. And they handled us pretty well in the scrimmage. And we were right with them in that game. We just ran out of time.
And that's what you want to hear. And Coach, how much of the, I guess, the varsity offense do you guys run?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
I started out with the wing tee, and I've just kind of been adapting it from there. But we tried to be on the same page as them, but I honestly don't know if we are or not. But we're working towards that. We want to do more and more of that as we get established.
Similar type of offense
Yeah.
you see on Friday nights.
Terminology.
Yeah.
That's the key, is the language.
Yeah.
Making sure they're all speaking the same thing.
Yeah, the wing tee is like a sacred offense. Like if you got guys who run it, that's just, a wing tee is a wing tee. So it's good that you're starting there young, and then that way they can take it up through middle school. Because I know the middle school guys are running what the high school's running, and then that just, over time, you just set yourself up for success. So what's been, I guess you're coming through a couple weeks ago when we talked to you. It was like, everybody's learning. It's almost like it was kind of tiresome a little bit for you, Coach. And I guess now that, like you said, coming into the, halfway through the season or almost to the end of the season, what are some of the highlights from you as a coach?
Oh, they're really absorbing a lot. Like, they have learned a lot. They've gotten substantially better. And I think the next big step for several kids on the team is just learning that aggressiveness and taking it to that next level of aggressiveness.
Yeah.
But as far as fundamentals, doing what we tell them, discipline, all the small things, getting lined up, hustling the line, they're really learning a lot, and we've had very marked improvement.
That's awesome.
Our last game, I got 3 compliments from the referees about what a good little team I had as far as discipline and all that.
Nice.
So they are learning. My voice is pretty well shot, but they are getting it.
It's a lot of work.
That
They are getting
improvement,
better.
you seeing that improvement makes it
Yes.
nice for you to
Yeah.
come to practice every day.
Yep.
Yeah, I talked to you about a week ago, Shad, our coach, and we talked about how much time it takes. When you get home from work, you go to practice and do it all over again. 4 or 5 days, nights a week, and you have your games on the weekends. So it's a huge commitment for the family. And now a lot of these young guys who've never played before, or maybe the first year, it does take a lot of time. And so we want to say thank you for coaching for sure, because it's not an easy job. It looks easy from the outside. And so you're taking your time out, because I'm sure you're getting paid a lot of money to do this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's no other reason to do it unless you do it for the money.
Earlier in the week.
Yeah.
Well, Kason, what grade are you in?
Fourth.
Fourth grade. I don't know that I could have executed a proper play fake in fourth grade. So, hats off to
Absolutely.
you guys for learning that stuff early, man. That's going to pay dividends later. Now,
Those
Walker,
fakes are very important, fellas. So whenever coach says carry those fakes out, make sure you do it.
You guys ain't never heard that before, have you?
I'm sure he preaches
you
it to you
got to
guys.
sell it. Now, Walker, you're a fullback and a linebacker.
Yeah.
Do you like offense or defense better?
I like them both the same.
I like them both the same. So, at fullback, it's kind of like playing defense, right? Because you get to blow people up. You do a pretty good job at that, you think? Your running back scoring touchdowns, so you must.
He runs pretty hard. If I was to look back here, he reminds me of he's a Shane Smith style.
There you go.
That's who he reminds me of. He delivers the blow when he's running up the middle for me. He does a good job.
Nice, so that's fantastic. Now, Cooper, you're a quarterback, right? They got you throwing the ball a little bit? How many throws a day do you think you get in practice?
Maybe like 4 or 5.
4 or 5?
4 or 5.
Well, as you get older, keep working that arm. Start working at where you're getting 50 throws a day. And when you're in junior high, you get 100. Get that arm strong. We call it throw the bomb, right? That's what we're working towards.
Cooper, I believe he has a completion in just about every game,
That's awesome.
and he's thrown for a 2-point conversion. So for little guys,
That's good
I'm
stuff.
impressed with our passing game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ne-
That's hard to do
Yeah.
at that age.
And never
Keep up the
forget
good
who
work,
gets
boys.
you there. There's a big lineman up there. We call them the big uglies. Is that right? They're big guys get you. That's why when I coach the line, I tell them, listen, you got these pretty boy quarterbacks back here we got to protect. So we want to get them hurt, get their nails hurt, get their nails broke. So we got to take care of those pretty boys back there. The line is the heart and soul of the team. And without those guys, you really get hammered. So good job. It's football is the greatest sport in the world. Don't ever quit. Stay with it, because Coach Graham over there one day is going to need you guys out there. And the most important thing is everyone wants to win, but the most important thing is you're learning how to play football. And getting those fundamentals down, that you're having fun. Because if you're not having fun and you're not learning fundamentals, you're wasting your time. Championship means nothing if you don't learn something, and then you don't get better. And then hopefully more kids want to play because they see you're having fun. And then the next year you have more kids, and then, then as we get more kids at the younger levels, and that gives more kids at the middle school guys, and then Coach Graham has all kind of 50, 60 players. So get your buddies out there, have fun.
Awesome. Guys, thanks for coming up, Coach. Always good to see you.
No problem, guys. We appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. I was going to thank these guys for supporting the Wellston community, man. There's just as much a representation as our varsity kids. So it's a big program from the ground up. I'm excited to see where
Well,
things are going.
one other thing I'll touch on is last week I went over to Washington Middle School because my son's helping coach middle school. I walked out halftime to the parking lot to get my phone, and I looked in the back of the track. You got the 2nd through 6th grade practice on the back track.
Yeah.
Look over to the practice field. You got just the field just covered with flag football players and cheerleaders. So, and then of course cheerleaders practicing on the backfield. So it's awesome to see that much excitement down there in a week. There's a lot of work that goes on down there behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. So if you get an opportunity to come out and support these guys and these ladies that play, and that's what they're out here for. It's a community. So
Awesome. Well, guys,
Good luck
thanks
this
so
week,
much.
guys.
Walker, thanks for coming on. Kason, nice to meet you, young man. Cooper, you guys take care, play hard. All right? Chad, thanks, man.
All right, no problem.
thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Rocket fans, we are back here at the Patio, Grubs and Suds in Wellston, Ohio. I'm Matt Petersen, with me Molihan and Jordan Lackey, and one of the things we look forward to every episode, third segment, we always have some players on. Coach Graham will join us for most of the rest of the episode. Today we've got Bennett Yadernacek, senior jack of all trades, man. He's played a little bit of wide receiver, plays outside linebacker. Maybe, have you lined up a corner any?
No.
No corner yet, okay.
Yeah, I'm not that quick. I'm not that quick, to say the least.
But he's played a couple of outstanding games against Portsmouth West, had a couple of key catches for us, and just has really locked things down on the outside, had a couple of picks. We'll talk to you about those against Alexander. And then Braden Myers, this guy had a coming out party against Alexander. 3 quarterback sacks. He was awarded our hit of the game for the first one, because I don't think Jordan Schultz had a second to breathe, and he had a helmet in his chest. So, great job, fellas. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us. Braden, we'll start with you,
last
man.
week.
What happened last week? I mean, you played out of your mind.
Well, I don't know if you want to be honest with you. I just came back from a concussion, and I was ready to go out there and hit someone.
You can tell.
Yeah, I was ready.
You look energetic.
Yeah. Of course, coming out after halftime, I think, is when this all started with him. Did you see some? Because it seemed like you were catching some gap there on the other side of the center. What was going on there? Were they just leaving you open, or?
No, in between the center and both guards, their splits weren't that well, so it was like wide open. So when they
had big splits.
Yeah, so when they called the strong side, I just got on the outside shoulder of the center, and I was able to get through there.
So you just made your own adjustment there based off what you saw. I mean, instincts kind of took over.
They called what was the strong side, and I lined up on the strong side.
Braden, you're a sophomore, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I noticed, of course, the program last week. Where did this guy come from, first of all? And then, wow, look at him, how quick he's getting off the ball. And one thing I noticed in pass rush, you did a great job in the field, extending your arms out. There was a couple times, we talked about this on the radio, that you did a great job getting in the field, but then running back maybe by with the ball. So I think as you grow, that's things that will help. Like once you get in the field, extend his arms, find the ball carrier, don't get too deep, and then find a ball carrier, and it'll be dangerous.
Yeah, I had some of the linebackers and some of the guys on the line. Where I was getting through, getting them sacks, they was all telling me to watch. They're gonna try running up underneath me.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Vision, being able to keep your hands out far enough where you can still see the field.
Yep.
That's pretty important.
This is where you're growing.
Yeah.
Of course, the more you play, the more you'll see that. Yeah, that would be my advice. And I know coaches probably tell you guys extend those arms and don't get too deep, and that way the guy don't run by you. Great job out there.
Thank you.
You really put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. You sling the ball and you run the ball. If you live in the backfield, the defensive line, and your buddies, linebackers, all do a great job all night long.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's going to be interesting to watch this D line now.
Yeah.
I didn't even, we hadn't heard anything about a concussion. I mean, we've been given injury reports and all this stuff and just hadn't. So apologize for not mentioning your name before now, but I'm sure we'll be saying a lot more going forward. But that whole second half, it was, the rest of the defense keyed off this guy. I mean, there's so much inside pressure. There were several times, not just on those sacks. I mean, he's blowing up run plays. Bennett's coming in, cleaning stuff up with him. I mean, it was impressive to watch.
Those guys up front are putting pressure on the quarterback, and then Bennett's out there able to make a play out there, make a couple big plays for the team, difference makers, so it all comes together. You guys are all working out there together. Great performance last week, boys.
One thing I've noticed every game is we're getting better at pursuing of those out there. Quarterback can fight outside, staying outside the outside shoulder, forcing back to the inside. There's been a couple times when the quarterback's done a perfect textbook job. They force the play back to the inside, and maybe the linebacker losses responsibility back there. But like, see when they start working fit together. So do you feel, as far as the coaching staff, are you guys recognizing the same thing?
Yes, like I said before, it's assignment football, and our kids are following their assignments. We're constantly preaching, don't get too deep, as Braden mentioned earlier. Earlier in the season we were getting too deep. We get through easy, and then we go too deep, they would run underneath of us. We tell them, just get to the heels of the lineman and read your keys and play from there. And as the season's progressed, we're getting a little bit better each week. So I'm proud of the kids for that. That's a definite plus for us, and hopefully we can just continue to get better and better for the range of the league play.
like we said, the defense played great last week. We had a really good quarterback, had some athletes on the field. Mike Weber came up big on 2 big defensive plays. One time down the sideline right from your bench, he went probably guarding the guy 30 yards in the field with a big play. Then another big play he had was like a 3rd and long. He guarded the most guarding receiver down inside the 5-yard line, knocked the ball away. And I know you got guys like that who are starting the season now, more on the radar, stepping up and starting to be big game players. That's going to get excited because your defense is playing really good. And now, of course, you get him in the mix. You get, of course, you get Mike Weber stepping up and playing well like that. And you get Josh into that. So that's exactly what we need going into meeting the season like that.
Yeah, most definitely. We've been working on our depth. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago here on the show that we're working on depth, and we're starting to find some guys that can fill some different spots for us. Mikey played a little bit of corner last year. We've also been running him a corner like he did last week. Mason a free safety, and just kind of rotating guys around in case the injury bug, and that kind of got us last week. We had 2 running backs. Clarkson out with a broken hand, and then Seth got a hip pointer there. He got a helmet to the hip, and he couldn't run. So I'm like, now what are we going to do? So, we got 2 more guys lined up now. So we got them squared away. So now we got about four running backs now. So I think we're going to be pretty prepared now.
Good position to be in.
Yes.
How's the hip, Coach?
He's better. He's playing tomorrow. He'll be
Good,
back tomorrow.
good.
He's taking it easier this week, doing a lot of therapy and training, but he only took 1 day off, and then he's been back to try. He won't miss.
Of course, Coach, you know about the football show that happens on 96.7 every week. In the Jackson game, of course, the guys, athletes come on, they talk about your great games. You, of course, called in this week. But after you got the phone, it was exciting to hear those guys talking positive about us. And you talk about, hey, this is great kick up and us and doing it. And then, of course, you got that game against it's a rival game. He makes it possible. So you guys, once you said at the beginning of the season, we were sitting over there at the first show, we were talking about, hey, who's league favorites? And you said, I believe we are. And you believe that, and it's, of course, you can see your kids are starting to believe now. And it's exciting to see not only, of course, it's something you have kids, but then other people are looking to see the change in the program. So I just want to say thanks for all what you guys put in and representing them.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So Bennett had 2 interceptions.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
one of them was a freakishly athletic play. The second one he has, ball gets tipped, and he happened to be in close enough proximity to just dive, and comes up with a diving pick. So tell us about what you're seeing on that particular play.
So right there, I give all the credit to Johnny. He made a heck of a hit right there, and the ball, it got tipped, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I dove out, I caught it, and I looked up at the ref, and he gave me the sign. I'm like, let's go. I'm just super excited.
Remind me of Dennis Rodman, that famous photo. You see Dennis Rodman just laying out in the crowd, getting a rebound. Yeah.
But that's we've seen a lot out of him the last couple games. I think I mentioned that earlier in the show. I think you've been one of the keys to setting that outside edge. We started to see a lot of stuff get forced back inside, and that's what you want to see.
Yes, absolutely.
And we saw it against Alexander. There were a couple of times they tried to run Isaac Waller off tackle, quarterback scrambles come off tackle, and you did such a great job of staying out and forcing things back inside to limit those to what could have been 10, 15-yard gains to maybe a yard, 2 yards. And that's the kind of stuff that's drive killers for an offense. Yeah. And for a defense to hold Alexander negative 4 yards on the night. Right. Yeah, that speaks a lot to how well your outside edge
Awesome
play.
discipline up front.
And of course, you have to key that. Now, I don't think you had any catches against Alexander, but you had 2 big ones against Portsmouth West.
Yes, sir.
The week before that. So, how do you feel about getting split out a little bit more?
I like it. I really do. I like whenever I can contribute to the team, whenever I can make something happen. Johnny, he gave me the ball. I happened to get a few yards. And so, just all credit to the line for giving him time to throw the ball to the catch, I guess.
Well, this is one of our favorite guys. This is the last group that we coach, and I've told people since Bennett was in 7th grade, this kid can catch anything. He's got a set of hands on him, so it's great to see you involved in that passing game. And just congratulations on the year you're having.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
a great way to have a great senior year, man. Playing hard football.
Thank
Going
you.
back to the 8th grade, his 7th grade year, some of the plays he'd come up and make. Coach was small, and he'd make these big plays in the game. Wow. all the time, man. It's dangerous. It's just good to see you. Of course, some of the fruition that the talent you have is straight on the field because, there's been a lot of course, I've been calling all year long. Get rid of the ball. Go get the ball. You can catch the ball. And that just adds to the dynamic of when you guys attack a team, the more weapons you have, the more they're going to come.
Absolutely. Great target out on the outside. I would have liked to have a big tall guy like you out there to throw to back in the day. Would have helped me out a lot because I wasn't that good. So.
We talked about this as the season goes along. We've seen the offense get a little more complex. The pre-read snaps that you're kind of giving the defense a little more eye candy as you get the confidence, play call, coaching staff. And I think it's been very successful last week, and I think as you guys continue, that'll be successful because you guys have a lot of weapons.
And one of the things that we mentioned earlier is now that if you have him split out to one side and Kale Fox split out to the other, if you've got a team that likes to line up 8 in the box, cover 1, go ahead and try that.
Yeah.
It forces defenses to adjust and do some different things. So, a lot of good things happening on offense. Glad to see you're a part of it.
You got to account for every weapon we have as a defense. And if you're looking at the Rockets, hey, it's kind of tough.
It's starting to get
they
really
can spread you out. I
interesting.
mean, they got a quarterback that can run the football, can throw the football. We got, a stable of backs that can run the ball. It's got a lot of quickness, a lot of different talents between them. We got a big, strong target out there with Mr. Yadnerchek and Kel Fott out there with his elusiveness. I mean, we got a really nice football team out there, and our defense is picking up this. The offense, the other team is having some trouble with this right now, and River Valley's going to have some trouble with their defense this week also. So just keep building each week like we have, and we got Nelsonville coming up. Get this win this week. It's not overlook any week. Each game every week in the TVC is a championship game. So you always got to remember that.
Especially the way this year's playing out and the stage we're getting into our schedule. If you look at some of the schedule of these teams coming up, I mean, we got a pretty good opportunity to play spoiler for a lot of people. In other people's eyes, you shock some people. I think,
Absolutely.
Not to look past River Valley, but I think Nelsonville is going to be in for a rude awakening when they find out how well this defense is starting to gel.
Absolutely. And we've already been on that field once. So we got to go back here in a couple weeks, right?
So we're pretty excited.
Well, like we said, you start out with Fairland, Minford, and West. There's probably not 3 better teams in TBC. So you probably play. I mean, then it goes downhill from there. So it's tough to start out with that, but at least you got that out of the way now. And now everything else is at least you know what to expect. Yeah. Coach, the one thing we talked about, and I know you talked about it in the post-game show last week, was as far as so what are you guys doing as coaching staff and as a team to kind of get these guys to make a little mistakes?
Well, the reps. I mean, that's moving your feet. We're big on moving the feet. Sometimes, it goes back to numbers. Kids are tired. They're playing 2 ways, and they get tired. And we're trying to relieve some of that. So you get tired, and the first thing that goes is, you get tired. Hey, I can kind of take this play off or a little easier. So we're trying to fix those issues and get their feet moving. If we keep our feet moving, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing is we kind of get a little fatigued. And then some of the holds are on the backside. It really don't even affect the play. There's a majority of those play are penalties on the backside that don't even affect the play, but they are holds.
Staying mentally focused throughout the
exactly.
whole football game.
And that's what we preach most of the time is stay focused. I know you're tired, okay? Being tired is mentally too, right? You got to be mentally strong. Even though you're tired, hey, I got to do this, And I used my timeouts last week kind of methodically just to try to give them some breaks here and there. We play so many minutes and then get a timeout just to try to help them out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think throughout the season, he's been really good about the timing of the timeouts. He's doing really well. And I think every time he calls timeout,
We've talked about that, up in the booth for sure, yeah.
It's like we said at the beginning, it's very hard to coach a football team. There's so much that goes to it. But it's good to see things moving right.
Now we have Braden on defense. You guys seen him shine on defense. He has an offensive spot also. He just hadn't been out there yet in that aspect. But he's a 2-way player too. But we're just trying to find some 1-way guys to give some other guys some breaks.
Yeah.
And he stepped up in that role. Unfortunately, I think he had an injury in the beginning of the year too. Then he had a second concussion. Is this your second one? I think it's a second concussion. So hopefully he's going to be a little better now. So.
He likes leading with his head a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling right now, Coach? How are you and the coaching staff feeling as part of the season? Kind of just give us an insight.
Well, we think the football program is definitely progressing in the direction we want it to go. We're getting better and better each week. And like I said, I don't look past. I play River Valley. I don't look past. I don't care who's next. I got River Valley. So I try not to look past any weeks, because who are we to look past anybody? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We take practice day by day, get better each day, and that's what we focus on, really. Having fun and some teams, some camaraderie, and the kids are really gelling. Like today during walkthrough, we had a little bit of music out in the field, and going through walkthroughs and things like that, and the kids respond to that type of stuff. So, we try to give in a little bit, not be the stern guy all the time. Have a little bit of fun, and that keeps them up and motivated.
That camaraderie goes a long ways
The
out in
better
the
we
field.
do, the more freedoms we'll get, but we still work hard.
Right.
That's the thing, and we just got to add some fun things to go along with it.
It's good to see, Coach. Things seem the outside in are going in a great direction. I can really imagine how excited you were on the phone last week, talking to the radio guys in there. I text you, of course, you want to go over, hey, do great on the radio, represent. Because I'm always big, like when we coach, even before I coach, I think I always coach with the boys, but the number one thing is you represent your family out there. So your attitude, your effort, represent your family, and you represent your community. And of course, the team has done a great job going out this year. Even though they've been in some tough situations, they still represent very well. The attitude's been great. And then with you talking to the interview that you gave, you represented our community very well.
Thank you. Thank you. I know, like I said, throughout the week I'm pretty hard on them, and they'll vouch for that. I'm pretty rough through practice through the week, and I lighten up a little bit on Thursdays, and it's a little bit more laid back. But through the week, we're all about business. Take care of what we need to do, and then hopefully we can take care of our business tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, we'll take our last break, and then Coach, just hang around for a little bit. We'll talk to you a little bit more about River Valley. We'll do our picks and get out of here for the evening. So, guys, thanks for coming. Great.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Good luck tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Thank you guys.
No problem, bud.
All right, guys, we'll be back here in just a minute.
Thanks, bud.
Hello. All right, Rocket fans, we are back here for our last segment of Thursday Night Lights, brought to you by the Patio, Grubs and Suds in Wellston, Ohio. Here live at that location. It's getting a little bit darker earlier, so hopefully the lighting's still good. I'm here, Matt Petersen, Nathan Molihan, and Jordan Lackey, and still got Coach Chris Graham here with us for most of our last segment here. So Coach will talk a little bit about River Valley going in. Of course, they're having some struggles this year with numbers. I think they only had about 32 kids come out this year, and I think they're a little bit banged up right now too.
Yeah, I spoke with Coach Coop throughout the week, and he's got a couple injuries, but I think those kids are back. I think there's a couple of them that are back, and he'll be prepared.
Sure.
I mean, he'll have those kids ready to go as he's coming back home, so I know he'll be ready, prepared. he runs a good offense, he runs a good program, and his heart's in the right place, and those kids like him, and they bought into what he's doing. He's very young. He's talked about, freshman quarterback started last week, freshman running back. So those kids are getting experience. Their JV is 4-1.
That's good.
So there's positives there, and I think tomorrow he's going to be a strong force to be reckoned with. So we've got to be prepared to play no matter who's coming in. And this week it's River Valley, and like I said, I think he'll have him ready to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a big night for him. I mean, coming back home, being out on that field again. It's been a while probably since he's been out on that field.
And I'm sure he'll have his kids pumped up, ready to play.
Ready.
They'll be ready to go.
They'll be fired up.
So we're not, like I said, we're not overlooking anybody, but hopefully we can, play some clean football tomorrow.
Yeah,
Penalties have been a havoc for us all year. I don't think we've had maybe one game we're not penalized over 100 yards for holding calls.
Yeah.
Now last week there was a lot of personal fouls. I guess there's a lot of extracurricular jawing going on out there, but I told the kids at halftime, to zip it up, and they did for the most part. But as a young teenager, it's tough to do sometimes out there. Adrenaline's going. You're playing football of all things, so we had some personal fouls. They had some personal fouls. It's kind of a messy game at times, but I think kids stuck together and they played through it. So we just got to watch the penalties. That's our biggest thing right now.
I think you made a very important statement a minute ago. Of course, we got 2 wins now going into against River Valley. We're the favorite, and it's easy for your guys to kind of maybe get a little looking past River Valley, like you said. But I think the statement that you said, who are we to look past anybody? Right. And I think that says a lot about where you are and your coaches are. It's like you understand, hey, let's celebrate the success and let's get confident, but let's remember where we're at and where we want to go. And I think that was a very powerful statement, what you said.
Thank you. Yeah, we're not world beaters by any means. But I think that our kids are believed, not to take anybody's quotes, but believing has been, Deion Sanders and who all these other people saying you just got to believe in, and that's what we tell our kids. Believe you're a good football team. We are a good football team. And I think that's they're not quitting. I've seen the past. We've quit. Your heads drop and you're down 14 points and the game's over. Well, the game's not over. If you've got 2 quarters to play and you're down 14 points, it's not over. And I think they're starting to realize that. Hey, they've seen successes in those tough games, the Fairlands, the Memphis, where we move the ball, and we kept telling them, guys, you're 1-2 blocks away.
Yeah,
stay with your ball, do this or do that, and then they've been doing that, and if we continue to do that, we'll have more success.
A lot of the mistakes that we saw throughout the season that gave up big plays, or you do a great job containing and forcing that player back to the inside, and then we give up a cutback lane. Those are all. The great thing about those are all coachable, fixable mistakes. Yep. And that's what we talked about all the time on the radio. It's like, listen, that was a big play we gave up, but that's all correctable and fixable. And we see it out there. And like I said, of course you got Coach Seitz over there. And you got a really good, dedicated coaching staff.
And sometimes as a teenage kid out there on the football field, being 16, 17, 18 years old, you have to make some mistakes to learn. To actually learn those boundaries, So, the discipline's there as a program. We're getting better each week as far as our technique and our responsibilities that we have on both sides of football. So, that's all you can ask for as a coaching staff, I think.
And I think one of the things that's helped us defensively and offensively is, we tell our kids it's mandatory. You've got to watch at least 45 minutes of film on the opposing team. We coaches watch the film, then we send out the rest of the team. We let them watch the game that we played, and then we put on the scout. And then, of course, I can monitor. I know exactly how many hours each athlete's put on their film. And, we got guys that don't see the film a whole lot, but still putting in 40, 35, 40 minutes. And, they may not step on the field, but a couple plays here or there. But they're all watching film, and that's a big thing.
Next man up, they got to be ready.
And plus, it's learning how to play football.
Yeah.
Teaching them how to play football. That's a big focus for us is just teaching the game itself. Not so much how many plays you run and this and that, but why the guy lines up here? Why is he lining up here?
Right.
Which way are you taking him? Then like, oh, okay. Then this light comes on, and then then from there on out, so they're actually, we're trying to teach them the game of football, not just how to play it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
Thinking back to my junior, senior year, how much I didn't know about football that I thought I did.
yeah,
You just go out there and play and line up and go. Didn't understand the concepts and all that. Wish I would have had someone that would have forced me to study film and things like that. So that's kudos to you again for that. Because football is a complicated game, and the higher your football IQ is, you can beat a team has less athletic ability than a team who has more athletic ability. The guy who studies more, like Tom Brady. I heard him talking to Deion Sanders' son over the weekend, and of course he's his mentor. And of course you talk about believing, and he bought a Rolls Royce and all this and that, and he told Deion's son that the key to your success is not your Rolls Royce, it's spending more time in the film room.
Yeah.
So back to your point, you're doing the right thing, Coach.
Of course, now we're starting to get some guys healthy. So everybody's in pretty good shape. Seth Lambert should be okay.
Yes,
and
Seth's back.
Man, we were talking about, I mentioned earlier on the show, I said, I don't know that I've ever rooted for a kid to go over 100 yards in a game because, he is so efficient. If you look at his stat lines, through the year, he's consistently 4.5, 5 yards plus a carry. And really, the whole backfield has been that way. Before Clarkson went out, he was about the same average. Mason Collins has stepped in and done similar numbers. So, the run game's looking good. Clarkson, I think, had a pretty good doctor's appointment. Should be back to play a little bit next week.
Next week. We thought it was going to be this week, but he texted me there Wednesday and said that it's going to be next week. So, and in the game last weekend, we didn't know Seth was hurt. I could tell he was running a little different, a little slower. Then I pulled him out. I asked him, I said, why are you? And then he looked at me, and I could see the tears. He was playing through the pain. He had the knot of a softball in his thigh. Wow. He got helmeted right in the hip pointer, and he couldn't hardly move. But he wanted to go right back in. So we set him out the rest of the half and got him some treatment. And then we tried him the second half, and then we ended up taking him out and then let him heal up this week. Like I said, he only missed one day. The weekend helped him out. He took some ice baths and things like that, and he was much better. We practiced yesterday. He felt great. Wednesday, he felt great. He actually did some hitting yesterday, so
Awesome.
Feels pretty good. He's back in there. Other than that, we've been pretty good with the injury bug besides Josh. Brendan Hall went out with a shoulder injury again. I think he hurt it practice Monday or Tuesday, but the doctor's got him out right now. But I don't know if he's going to make it back. He's an MRI, so we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Well, that's good. This is one of those games that you just want to make sure nothing silly happens. You're halfway through the season. Keep everybody healthy. Like Nathan said, let's clean up some of the penalties and little things that just kill drives.
Yeah.
I got an update real quick. The middle school coach, Coach Fleming, and Coach Rylan Molihan, they come up with a big win, 36-22.
Nice.
Yes.
Breaking news. So
Yes.
good job.
It's a good thing.
Good job, Robert.
Good things happen at the middle school level.
Yeah.
So,
Didn't mean to interrupt you there, Pete.
no, that's okay. So guys, I'm good with Coach if you are. Anything else for Coach?
No.
Awesome. Coach, good
All right,
luck
guys,
tomorrow,
appreciate
man.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Last order of business. What are the standings right now? Do we even know?
We're breaking up. I think we're losing communication.
I know we missed a week last week, but we'll still pick 5 games this week. And they left me in the driver's seat of this thing, so we got some games written down. I'll just pick 5 random ones. Let's just go Athens Logan.
Let's go with Athens.
Let's go with Logan.
Man, I'm torn because Athens is starting to figure things out. Quarterback's playing, but I'm going to go Logan though. That's a safe pick, I guess. Nathan's trying to catch up here.
Well, yeah, because Athens the last few years, just when you think they've got things righted, they fall off the
Something
wagon.
happens.
So
Yeah.
you guys are probably going to safe pick, but I think they're going to.
They can be explosive.
Logan
I think.
has
There's some
struggled with
some-
scoring points this year, and Athens has scored some points, so I think Athens could probably take the win.
All right.
He needs to get one up on me. So he's gonna Jackson, Washington Courthouse.
Jackson's going to be tough to beat.
I'm gonna. I don't know, man. I tell you, maybe I should just stick with. Now, you know what? I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna go Washington Courthouse.
J-Town. It's got to be Jackson.
I mean, Jackson is, I think, surprised a lot of people when they come out, and of course they lose winners last year as a quarterback, and then so they're all asking, like, where's our offense going to come from? The first game they played Logan, their offense are all field goals.
Hopefully, Coach Coach Hall and Jackson plays this clip in front of the team that I picked Russian Courthouse. Maybe I'll give him a little fire to get that win for you.
Maybe.
guys.
All right, Ironton Chesapeake.
That's an easy one, I think. Chesapeake. Psych.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Tigers too.
Yep, I will as well. Can't pick against those guys, man. They're rolling. Wheelersburg Harvest Prep.
Harvest Prep.
I'm gonna go with Harvest Prep too.
I like to go with Berg. I know a lot of their guys on the coaching staff there, a lot of great guys. But Berg is, I don't know, that's
Harvest
a tough.
Prep's got a nice program.
That's a tough game. The only thing that Harvest Prep, that Berg has, I think, to give them the advantage, to give them the win,
Tradition.
is the home field advantage. Because when you go to Williamsburg, you're playing 5,000 people.
Yeah.
I mean, they pack the house. They got their little jugs with the rocks in them. And it's an exciting environment. It's probably not it's probably the best Southern Ohio tradition in high school football.
Gosh, keep picking against these guys has kept me alive all year. So I'll go Berg. I'll go with the homers. See what happens. Maybe you guys make up some ground this week on that pick.
I hope so.
And of course, last one, Wellston River Valley.
Wellston.
Rockets across the board. Yep.
I think we're peaking in just the right time. And like Coach said, as long as we don't get ahead of ourselves, take care of our penalties, we should give the home crowd a good game this week.
Yep.
Absolutely. Going with the Rockets, going 2-2 or 2-0 going into next week against Nelsonville, and I think Nelsonville is going to be the same in league play, so that'll be a nice little matchup for us next week. So go Rockets, let's get that dub this week.
This week, build that momentum because we'll have to go on the road a little bit. Johnny Scott's playing pretty good football. That's kind of the quiet stat right now.
Right.
Like I said, 50% passing over 3 games with multiple touchdowns.
Yeah,
So
as a football team right now, we're right where we're on the trend of going up, and we're getting better each game, each practice, every moment that these guys are together, we're getting better. The camaraderie's
Confidence
there,
going up.
everything. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of this season.
So that's it. You got Rockets across the board for the marquee pick. I'm Matt Petersen, as always, with Nathan Molihan and Jordan Lackey. We'll see you next week on Thursday Night Lights, brought to you by the Patio, Grubs, and Suds in Wellston.